So in this video, we will be providing a quick setup introduction to MBED, which we'll be using for future tutorials. So MBED is a free online development platform for ARM-based microcontrollers. So what is a microcontroller? It's effectively a small computer that can run a few instructions such as turning on and off things, connecting to other devices, interfacing with other devices, etc., etc. They're extremely useful in electronics because they provide computational power to a circuit, which enables the ability to include logical decisions, task management, and control. And this pretty much opens up to a lot of opportunities when trying to create whatever you want. So there are a variety of microcontrollers in the market and plenty of ways to prototype with them. So one of the common microcontroller prototyping solutions is the Arduino, which is based off the Atmel Mega 8-bit microcontrollers. This was released roughly in 2006. They run on 5 volts and can do most of the microcontroller basic tasks that you would need them to do. So the code to program them also is open source, which makes them pretty nifty because of the fact that you can actually just find code online and use that for your solution. But because of the amount of online information on how to use these and its ease of use to do that, we decided to not make a tutorial series for the Arduino because you can find that very, very easily. And we decided to make a tutorial series on something that's a little more scarce, which is how to program ARM microcontrollers using MBED. And an advantage with ARM microcontrollers is they tend to be more powerful than the Arduino, and some of them are on the same price point as an Arduino. So I've been using the word ARM a lot, so as in like for an ARM microcontroller. So what exactly is ARM? So ARM stands for Acorn RISC Machines, which is a computer architecture that is used in a variety of different devices such as smartphones. It's called Acorn RISC Machines because a British company called Acorn developed the architecture standard roughly at the time when Apple was just starting its company, so roughly around the 1970s, 1980s. The company unfortunately dissolved, but the architecture is still widely used today, and the company called ARM Holdings owns the IP and licenses the technology off to many different semiconductor companies. So, some companies like Freescale, NXP Semiconductor, Texas Instruments have their own ARM line of microcontrollers. So ARM microcontrollers are 32-bit microcontrollers, which means they can handle up to 32 bits of data at a time. There are also a different series lines for the ARM Cortex series. So there's the Cortex A series, the Cortex R series, and the Cortex M series. In this case, we'll be covering the Cortex M series, which is the lowest line, but keep in mind that the A series and the R series are used for like computers, which use a lot of power and have their own specific needs and constraints, and the M series is used for industrial control systems and medical instrumentation, both of which are in a biomedical engineer's alley. There's also a subseries in the M line, which is the M0, M0+, M1, M3, and M4. Each number indicates the respective computational power. So M4 typically, roughly speaking, is the most powerful, and M0 is the least powerful. And roughly speaking, with that as well, the more computationally powerful, the less energy efficient the microcontroller, and the more expensive. So again, for our tutorials, we'll be using MBED, which is an online development platform that can program all of these M-series microcontrollers, at least a variety of them, and they're adding more and more to the list as they go. It provides like a compiler, a place to write your code up. It's a very, very elegant and efficient way to test out and program these microcontrollers. So the case for our tutorials, we're going to be selecting one of them. So we're using the Freescale KL25Z microcontroller, which is an M0+. But you can follow these tutorials with any microcontroller that they have on MBED. So for example, they also have like M3 microcontrollers. One of them in particular is the LP1768, which is made by NXP Semiconductors. In fact, it was the first one that they released for MBED. We also have M4 microcontrollers. This one is from ST Microelectronics, and it's the Nucleo F401RE. So again, you can go ahead and use whatever microcontroller you want. There's one key perk with the KL25Z series is the fact that it's Arduino compatible. So what you can in fact actually do is get Arduino shields, so you can buy those online and you can actually just place them on top just like as you would with any other Arduino device. So you can use Arduino shields for this microcontroller as well as a small extra perk. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with MBED. So the first thing, of course, is you have to make an account on their webpage. So if you go to mbed.org, you'll have this little webpage over here. It just describes like what they're trying to create right now. But what you want to do is you want to go to the developer site. And so on top right here, click developer site, because that's really where you want to go. Okay, so you have this little webpage right here. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and just log out just to have this all set up. But what you want to do is on the right over here, click login or sign up. And then click sign up over here. and then just say, no, I haven't created an account before, and then go ahead and fill in all your information. Once you have that up, you have an account. In the case for me, like I already have an account, we already have an account, it's BME BME Build, so we go ahead and just log in there with that. Okay, I'm just going to go back to the home page. Whoops, go back to the developer site. All right, so there's a lot of things that you can do on this website, but the most important, of course, on the top right is the compiler, which is where you can actually write code to program your microcontrollers. They have a nice little user interface, which is pretty efficient here and there. I'm just going to go ahead and just open up one of these sample things right here. So I'm just going to click this one. So you can go ahead and just click the main C++ file. This pretty much is a place where you can go ahead and write code, whatever you want. And then over here is on the top right, you can select which kind of like platform that you want to program with. So we have a variety right here. So we have the LP1768. Really, like when you do a compile for this code, you have to select which microcontroller you're going to be programming with or for. And on top of that, you can also add platforms. So if you click over here, add platform, what you can also do is like it'll direct you back to a platforms page. You can click whatever you want, and then you can just hit on the right side over here, add to your MBED compiler. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that. All right, so now it's been added to my account. So if I go back to the compiler and I go to the place where that lists out all of our devices, you'll see that it's also listed there as well now. And of course, there's just the option that you can actually import libraries. So if you click import, it'll direct you to this one little browser space it'll start loading up all the different libraries that you can import in. The most common one that you'll probably be importing is the mbed.h library, which is pretty much just the library that contains all of the little standards, how to actually, every single thing that you need to just program any sort of general microcontroller. But there's always obviously a larger list, and you can search over here as well. And then also you can also just want to, like, I'm just going to go ahead and just select one of my old code over here. And then if I double click and if I hit compile, it'll compile it into a binary file. In this case, because I selected the KL25Z, it's going to make a binary file specifically for that microcontroller. Of course, and there's also like the option to save if you ever add any code. There's a commit option, which we're not going to be looking into or focusing on too much in detail. This is just how to use the compiler space. So let's go ahead and just go back to the front page over here. And just I'll give you just a brief overview of everything that's here. So platforms is just like their listing of all their microcontrollers that you can program with. Some of these, unfortunately, though they're listed, they have yet to have like a solid foundation on, and some of them they're still working on. But regardless, like there's at this point in time there are like a little bit over 40 listed right now that they have. So there's quite a lot. And then if you go to click components, you'll see over here that they have a variety of just different like components that you can interact with these things. These are just the ones that are just very, very well established and people have actually tested out. So you can go ahead and just jump this and just use these things if you need to. The handbook is just pretty much like their listing of their APIs and how to program these microcontrollers in particular. So they give you like everything that you need. So the SDK, so that's the software development platform, the HDK, which is a hardware development kit, and then just the little APIs over here. So digital out, digital in, analog in, communication interface protocols. It'll just, if you just go ahead and click these, it'll just like, redirect you to their API documentation on how to use it. It also provides you some sample code. So if you look at it, you can actually just copy paste this and implement this in just to prove that it works, and et cetera, et cetera. Let's go ahead and if you go to on top of this, so we just got the handbook. Now there's the cookbook. So the cookbook is just general things that people on the website like to list out as like things that they've done and like how to actually do these sorts of things. So if you want to connect this, if you want to make this microcontroller work with the internet, they have a few little general hints in here and there on how to actually do that. If you want to actually interact with the USB devices, you have this listed as well. And it also has a bunch of just a myriad of things that if you need to, like so wireless transmission, audio stuff, how to actuate motors, how to play with some sensors, et cetera, et cetera. There's more. If you just scroll down. On top of this, one of the key perks about the MBED webpage is the fact that people also update their code and actually like display that out there on this web page. So you can actually if people actually publish their code on this website, you can actually see it yourself and you can actually incorporate it, and you can also just if they allow you to, you can actually join their repository and make your own separate branches, just like if you were to do something like GitHub. There's also a questions page and a forum page as well. So there's a community, If you have any sort of questions, you can list something in there. And then typically, just based on my experiences, it'll take like 1 to 2 weeks to get a response back. The forum is roughly the same thing, where you pretty much like have some sort of specific topic and people interact with you there as well. So before we actually do any sort of major programming with the KL25Z, or for any of these microcontrollers in particular, what you should just make sure you do is you actually go and click, go to platforms and then go to the particular microcontroller of interest. And they'll give you a few setup instructions. For the case of Freedom KL25Z, if you go to getting started with MBED or actually going to firmware update, you want to go ahead and click step-by-step firmware update instructions and go ahead and just follow these instructions and just make sure that everything is operational from there. We already did this before we actually created the other tutorials, so just go ahead and make sure you do this yourself, because otherwise it won't work with MBED unless you do this. So that's pretty much just a general overview of MBED. In the next following tutorials, we'll teach you how to program the KL25Z to do some of just the basic functionality and commands, and then we'll move further from there on out to more complex